Hi, I'm Glenn. Dave's behind the camera. We're the NCBeerGuys. Welcome to another episode of the NCBeerBuzz. We're pleased to be in Morganton today with Billy Pyatt of the Catawba Valley Brewing Company. And I said Catawba Valley, and we should now call it Catawba Brewing Company. We've been in a rebranding effort here, and Billy's going to tell us about that in a minute. Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you guys for coming. It's a pleasure to host you guys.
Thanks. We're here in the tap room space now, and we're going to talk a little bit about Billy and how he came to be here and be a brewer and what brought us to Catawba. And then we're going to move in the back and see some of the more equipment. So Billy, you became a brewer from being a home brewer?
Like all good brewers, I think we have to hone our craft on a really, really small scale.
Right.
But the genesis of Catawba Brewing Company was a Christmas gift my wife gave me about the mid-90s.
Uh-huh. I just took to it like duck to water, or
I became obsessed with it. It was one of those things where you put something together according to the directions with the ingredients you're given, and you like it.
And it worked.
It worked, and then I started tearing that recipe apart, understanding what goes into beers.
And what was your background before?
Oh, I'm a geek.
Okay.
I'm a mechanical engineer that has always been a hands-on guy. We grew up fixing cars. Welding, electrical work, I mean just about anything you can imagine. My dad owned a junkyard and a garage, and a lot of it, true story, a lot of our relatives were real moonshiners.
Okay.
We're the first Pyatts ever to have a legal ability to do what we do.
You earn a legal living.
We're earning a legal living from alcohol.
But the process must have amazed you, from the mechanical, how it worked, the mechanics of brewing.
I had a friend that once called it art and science, and I think when I first got into it, it was certainly science. It was learning heat transfer, remembering your biology, how single-celled organisms live, what makes them thrive, what can hurt them, and understanding how you're going to get a great beer from really 4 naturally occurring ingredients. It was certainly a marriage of, in my mind, at least in the beginning, mostly all the science that I had.
And at some point, home brewing at your own place, did you just all of a sudden decide I'm going to do this professionally, or I mean, what got you to take the next step? That's a huge commitment.
It is, and I wish my little brother were here. My little brother has done this for 14 solid years, almost as a one-man show. We're really growing now, but the first 10 of them.
Is he a partner in the business?
He's a co-owner, partner, and I say little brother. We're 4 years apart, so he'll always be my little brother.
Right.
He's not that little.
Okay.
But yeah, it's one of those things where we're 14 years professionally managed now. We've been selling kegs for over 14 years. And about 15 years ago, Scott and I, my brother, were doing homebrew in pretty sizable batches. No longer on the stovetop, but we built our own equipment that we roll out to the driveway and make 15-gallon batches.
I've had some following in the local community for as home brewers.
We did. Our friends would come over and they would go, wow, this is really good. Can you make beer X for my wedding? Or can you make beer Y for my party? And sure, we would do it. It was fun to us. And one thing led to another. Scott was in between careers. He was tired of being a ski instructor in the winter. You can only do that so long. And he needed a full-time job. And we thought, people seem to like what we do. We know a little about it. Let's give it a go. We honestly didn't know what we didn't know. We just jumped in.
And 14 years ago, you were way ahead of the wave, too. It's not like you were coming to the craft beer industry when everybody else did.
There was very little craft beer.
Because you must have been one of like 5 by then.
I think we were the 4th.
Okay.
In Western North Carolina. There weren't very many at all. Highland, Asheville Brewing, a form of French rot I think already existed before we did. Right. So we were fortunate.
And Morganton was home, so it was a natural choice, or you came here to do the brewery?
So my brother was living in Marion, which is 30 miles west of here. I was living in Hickory, 30 miles east of here. So Morganton became a central location for us. We set up shop in a rental, a basement of an old hosiery building. A 1920s building that was so rough. There was no usable electric, no usable water. It was just terrible. But it was enough space that we could use to set up our professional business.
Got you off the ground.
It did, and we purchased some brewery assets from a little brewery in Colorado. I can never remember their name, but this was in the early 90s, 93 or so. I'm sorry, 95 or so. By the time we got enough pieces collected, figured out how to operate it, it was 1999 before we were able to set it up and make it work.
And we're in that facility for how long, and then moved here?
We were in that facility, the rental facility, for about 10 years. We outgrew that first equipment very quickly. None of it is still here in the brewery. There are still some tanks sitting behind my brother's house in a shed. I think we'll keep them forever.
That's right.
But something to look at. It was a little 5-barrel system that we got past pretty quick.
and came into this facility
About 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Okay.
And this is a facility that we own, and we've renovated it piece by piece. As you walk around, you'll still see some sections that aren't renovated, but it was wooden floors, no usable lighting, plumbing, or anything, and pretty much what you see we've had to build.
Okay. And kind of could build it the way you need it to be.
It is.
To meet your needs.
And over a long period of time, no one's writing us a big check and saying, hey, go build a brewery.
That's right.
It's family funded.
And as you're able.
It is family funded, or it's funded out of operations. And very proud of that. The only investors are my wife, my brother, and me. And we're doing all right.
Great. Very, very good. So let's talk. We're here in the tap room area. When does the tap room open, and when can people come in and try the beer?
Tap room is always open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday evenings from 5 till 10:30 or 11. We're open. We're primarily out of towners on Saturdays from 1 till 6.
Mm-hmm. And there's an outdoor area we're not going to see today, where you can be outdoors and enjoying the right kind of weather. There's an entertainment stage and venue, and you said you have a widescreen HD. What's the deal back here?
Yeah, we do. We built to my left, and I keep pointing over there. We built a nice stage where we have Morganton's best open mic night. We have some interesting musical talent here. That's every Thursday night. We have local and regional traveling acts that come at least twice a month, and it's turning out to be almost every Saturday now. We do special parties, rental facilities for the local Humane Society.
Has that been a different challenge doing that side of the business? Because I guess originally you just did the beer, and now you're doing a so-called retail social space.
Then it's two different businesses, and it's interesting to me. I love them both.
But they're different challenges, obviously.
We're sitting in a factory, and running a factory, getting the right beer out at the right time when your customers want it is one challenge. Mm-hmm. But giving somebody home to come and try your beer, to watch the big game on the
in the right atmosphere, and controlling the crowd, and and getting them in the door, and getting them out the door when you want them out the door. I mean, it's all.
It's very different, but to us, it's part of the business. We want people to know what we do. We want people to feel comfortable that they get a chance to know us, to bond with us a little bit. When you come in, you get a chance to talk to the owners, to the chief guys that are making the beer back here, Kevin and his team. It's just a very open.
And it ties you so much to the community. You're not just some brick edifice that produces beer that they can buy wherever. They know you, they know the family, and they know what's going on here.
I hope so.
And it ties you to them and them to you, I would hope.
I hope so, because that's really what we want.
Good. We're going to step back on the backside and look at some other options. So one of the great things about doing what we do on a weekday is we get to see what's going on. So we're in the heart and the guts of the situation now. And you'll see over my shoulder that we're actually making beer behind us. And you'll tell them what you'll hear back going on over our shoulder. But Billy and I want to talk about the beer. We first came to Catawba when we got some great cans of Farmer Ted's beer a while back. And we now recognize all new cans, and new labels, and new branding. Let's talk about how that came to be and what our viewers can find in the future. And they might not recognize the old Catawba cans.
Right. Well, it's interesting to us. We've been in business 14 years, and you become a collector of just some unique and interesting brands. Our Farmer Ted cans were unique and interesting. Our Firewater cans were a little bit of a classic logo. Our White Zombie cans were kind of cool and edgy. They had the bug-eyed zombie. And each one of those by itself was really pretty interesting, pretty neat. But what happened is when we started seeing those appear on grocery store shelves, when we got into packaged goods, you see those three lined up, you can never tell they were from the same brewery.
Right.
Nor could you really identify Catawba as being the brewery that produced.
And you never would connect the four cans on the shelf in any way.
You couldn't. And so the more we get into off-premise consumption with the canned products, the more we realized we had to do something. Well, rather than just trying to mold everything and push it all together, we took about 6 months and tried to decide what we wanted to be, what we wanted to tell people about our brewery, and came up with this whole brand new branding program. The centerpiece of that branding program is the new logo, and I have a crappy shirt on, but it's handmade. It was our first little effort at trying to do it. But you'll see the mountains of Western North Carolina. You'll see we've shortened our name to Catawba Brewing Company. It makes it easier to say, just ask for Catawba. And it eliminates confusion about where we consider our base market. Our base market is Western North Carolina and the mountains. The other part about this, if you turn this label upside down, they're the states of North and South Carolina.
Okay.
So again, this is who we are. We're from the Carolinas. We are the craft beer of the Carolinas.
Now, how far east, not to change something too quickly, but how far east can we get your beer? We have viewers all across the state.
Yeah, so we're marching eastward. In the last year, part of our growth strategy has been to add distributors. You can reliably find us all the way through the Triad, through down to about Burlington. We have bits and pieces of coverage in Raleigh, Durham.
I was trying to say, we've seen some, I know in Chapel Hill and Raleigh, in select stores, but that doesn't mean every bottle shop is going to have
That's
it.
correct. A lot of it has been guys that have come up here to buy their fill, the Western North Carolina sampler, if you will, and take it back home. Although we're beginning to distribute through some certain, I guess, smaller or sectional distributors into areas like Raleigh.
And that's going to mostly be the can product or some draft products on tap for some places too?
For now, mostly the can.
Mostly the can.
But
okay.
I'm not going to rule out draft. We sell draft everywhere else. You can find us as far west as Knoxville, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay.
South Carolina, we're just opening up. I still don't have any firm footprint there.
Right.
But by the end of the year, I will.
Great. Good. So we've got the 4 flagships.
Really three
flagships.
I say that fast. 3 flagships.
Right.
And usually 1 seasonal.
Okay. And we're doing the seasonal for this season?
Yes, the seasonal for this season is King Winterbolt's Winter Ale. It's a winter warmer.
And we've not seen that in cans until this year.
You've not seen the beer until this year.
Okay, brand new beer and brand new beer. Okay.
But we have never packaged one of our seasonal products. So until now, we've only done Firewater IPA, Farmer Dad's Cream Ale, and White Zombie Belgian White Ale. We're still going to offer those. You see the Firewater here in the new dress, the new can. But we're always going to have a rotating seasonal or 2 on now because of our canning expansion. We have a lot more capacity and a lot more flexible process than we used to have.
So for the beer geeks out there, tell us about the new seasonal. What is it? What makes that beer special?
Sure. Well,
What is the beer?
So the beer is it's really a British winter warmer. It's something that's going to be nice, brown, a nice malty base, about 7% alcohol, so it's not going to really be nuts, and enough hops to be dry, enough hops to be interesting. But then we Americanize it just a little bit. We dry hop it on Sriracha Ace and Cascade hops, so you get a nice lemony citrus kind of hop forward feel when you drink this beer. It's been very well received, and I'll put a plug in for our head brewer, Kevin Sondey. This is his first from the ground up creation.
Great.
And I really think it's nice.
Good. And do we know what next season, what's the spring bringing?
The next beer we'll have will be kind of a late winter. It'll be our Hooligan Scottish Ale, an 8%, really malty, big Scotch beer, deep mahogany red color.
Right.
And the label's in the process of being approved. We're looking in January for that beer. We're going to do Winterbolt through the Christmas season.
Right. Good. Thanks so much for having us here.
Happy to have you guys here.
If you guys get a chance to get your hands on any of the Catawba product, we encourage you to try that. Let Billy know what you think. As always, we're interested in knowing what you think. This has been another episode of the NC Beer Buzz. I'm Glenn, Dave's behind the camera. Remember, drink local, and from Morganton, keep your beer dollars in North Carolina.